how many intelligent alien civilizations do you think are out there? And is their intelligence different or similar to ours?
Yeah. I've been preoccupied with this question quite a bit recently, basically the Fermi paradox and just thinking through. And the reason actually that I am very interested in the origin of life is fundamentally trying to understand how common it is that there are technological societies out there in space. And the more I study it, the more I think that there should be quite a lot.
Why haven't we heard from them? Because I agree with you. It feels like I just don't see why what we did here on Earth is so difficult to do.
Yeah, and especially when you get into the details of it, I used to think Origin of Life was very, it was this magical rare event, but then you read books like, for example, Nick Lane, The Vital Question, Life Ascending, etc. And he really gets in and he really makes you believe that this is not that rare.
Basic chemistry.
You have an active Earth and you have your alkaline vents and you have lots of alkaline waters mixing with acidic ocean, and you have your proton gradients and you have the little porous pockets of these alkaline vents that concentrate chemistry. And basically, as he steps through all of these little pieces, you start to understand that actually this is not that crazy. You could see this happen on other systems. And he really takes you from just a geology to primitive life. And he makes it feel like it's actually pretty plausible. And also, like the origin of life was actually fairly fast after formation of Earth. If I remember correctly, just a few 100 million years or something like that after basically when it was possible, life actually arose. And so that makes me feel like that is not the constraint, that is not the limiting variable, and that life should actually be fairly common. And then, where the drop-offs are is very interesting to think about. I currently think that there's no major drop-offs, basically, and so there should be quite a lot of life. And basically, where that brings me to then is the only way to reconcile the fact that we haven't found anyone and so on is that we can't see them, we can't observe them.
Just a quick, brief comment. Nick Lane and a lot of biologists I talk to, they really seem to think that the jump from bacteria to more complex organisms is the hardest jump.
Mm-hmm. The eukaryotic life, basically.
Yeah, which I get it. They're much more knowledgeable than me about like the intricacies of biology, but that seems like crazy because how many single cell organisms are there? Like, and how much time you have? Surely it's not that difficult. Like in a billion years is not even that long of a time, really. Just all these bacteria under constrained resources, battling it out. I'm sure they can invent more complex. Like, I don't understand. It's like how to move from a hello world program to like invent a function or something like that. I don't.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah. So I'm with you. I just feel like I don't see any. If the origin of life, that would be my intuition. That's the hardest thing. But if that's not the hardest thing because it happens so quickly, then it's got to be everywhere. And yeah, maybe we're just too dumb to see it.
Well, it's just we don't have really good mechanisms for seeing this life. I mean, so I'm not an expert, just to preface this, but just from what I've been looking at it.
I want to meet an expert on alien intelligence and how to communicate.
I'm very suspicious of our ability to find these intelligences out there and to find these Earths. Like radio waves, for example, are terrible. Their power drops off as basically 1 over r square. So I remember reading that our current radio waves would not be the ones that we are broadcasting would not be measurable by our devices today. Only was it 1/10 of a light year away? Like not even, basically tiny distance, because you really need like a targeted transmission of massive power directed somewhere for this to be picked up on long distances. And so I just think that our ability to measure is not amazing. I think there's probably other civilizations out there. And then the big question is, why don't they build von Neumann probes and why don't they interstellar travel across the entire galaxy? And my current answer is it's probably interstellar travel is like really hard. You have the interstellar medium. If you want to move at close to the speed of light, you're going to be encountering bullets along the way, because even like tiny hydrogen atoms and little particles of dust are basically have like massive kinetic energy at those speeds. And so basically you need some kind of shielding. You have all the cosmic radiation. It's just like brutal out there. It's really hard. And so my thinking is maybe interstellar travel is just extremely hard.
Like
you have
billions
to be very slow.
of years to build hard. It feels like it feels like we're not a billion years away from doing that.
It just might be that you have to go very slowly, potentially, as an example, through space.
Right. As opposed to close to the speed of light.
So I'm suspicious, basically, of our ability to measure life, and I'm suspicious of the ability to just permeate all of space in the galaxy or across galaxies. And that's the only way that I can currently see a way around it.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing to think that there's trillions of intelligent alien civilizations out there kind of slowly traveling through space
Maybe.
to meet each other. And some of them meet, some of them go to war, some of them collaborate.
And or they're all just independent. They're all just like little pockets. I don't know.
Well, statistically, if there's trillions of them, surely some of the pockets are close enough together.
Some of them happen to be close, yeah.
Close enough to see each other. And then once you see something that is definitely complex life, like if we see something,
yeah,
we're probably going to be intensely, aggressively motivated to figure out what the hell that is and try to meet them. What would be your first instinct to try to, like at a generational level, meet them or defend against them? Or what would be your instinct as a president of the United States and a scientist? I don't know which hat you prefer in this question.
Yeah, I think the question, it's really hard. I will say, like, for example, for us, we have lots of primitive life forms on Earth next to us. We have all kinds of ants and everything else, and we share space with them. And we are hesitant to impact on them, and we're trying to protect them by default because they are amazing, interesting, dynamical systems that took a long time to evolve, and they are interesting and special. And I don't know that you want to destroy that by default. And so I like complex dynamical systems that took a lot of time to evolve. I think I'd like to preserve it if I can afford to. And I'd like to think that the same would be true about the galactic resources, and that they would think that we're kind of incredible, interesting story that took time. It took a few billion years to unravel, and you don't want to just destroy it.
I could see two aliens talking about Earth right now and saying, I'm a big fan of complex dynamical systems, so I think it was a value to preserve these, and who basically are a video game they watch or a TV show that they watch.
Yeah, I think you would need like a very good reason, I think, to destroy it. Like, why don't we destroy these ant farms and so on? It's because we're not actually like really in direct competition with them right now. We do it accidentally and so on, but there's plenty of resources. And so why would you destroy something that is so interesting and precious?
Well, from a scientific perspective, you might probe it.
Yeah.
You might interact with it lightly.
Exactly. You might want to learn something from it, right?
So I wonder, could be certain physical phenomena that we think is a physical phenomena, but it's actually interacting with us to like poke the finger and see what happens.
I think it should be very interesting to scientists, other alien scientists, what happened here. And what we're seeing today is a snapshot. Basically, it's a result of a huge amount of computation. Over like billion years or something like that. So
it could have been initiated by aliens. This could be a computer running a program. Like if you had the power to do this, for sure, at least I would pick a Earth-like planet that has the conditions, based on my understanding of the chemistry prerequisites for life, and I would seed it with life and run it. Right? Like, wouldn't you 100% do that and observe it and then protect? I mean, that's not just a hell of a good TV show. It's a good scientific experiment.
Yeah.
And it's physical simulation, right? Maybe the evolution is the most, like, actually running it is the most efficient way to understand computation or to compute stuff.
Or to understand life, or what life looks like and what branches it can take.
It does make me kind of feel weird that we're part of a science experiment, but maybe everything's a science experiment. Does that change anything for us if we're a science experiment?
I don't know.
Two descendants of apes talking about being inside of a science experiment.
I'm suspicious of this idea of like a deliberate panspermia, as you described it, sort of. And I don't see a divine intervention in some way in the historical record right now. I do feel like the story in these books, like Nick Lane's books and so on, sort of makes sense, and it makes sense how life arose on Earth uniquely. And Yeah, I don't need to reach for more exotic explanations right now.
Sure, but NPCs inside a video game don't observe any divine intervention either, and we might just be all NPCs running a kind of code.
Maybe eventually they will. Currently, NPCs are really dumb, but once they're running GPTs, maybe they will be like, "Hey, this is really suspicious. What the hell?"